So got my engine back from the machine shop, rings and whatnot. Crank, the head, the block. I gave this to him in January of 2023, and today is February 29th of 2024, so about a year and almost 2 months later. All he was able to do was to confirm that 2 of these cylinders are leaking at the bottom, so they have to come out. Otherwise, he's been so busy, he just said he doesn't know when he's gonna get to it. So at that point, I just said, let me pick it up, and with my trusty manual, I will try rebuilding it. So the task for now is to remove these cylinders, sleeves or liners. If I can, I'll turn it over and use a wood block and see if I can gently knock them out. If they don't come out, then I'll need a puller. And one of the fellows on Lotus Talk offered to let me borrow his, which is fantastic. But a lot of people said, you know, they turn them over, tap them with a wood block, and see if they come out. We'll see. Once I get those out, the liners will get sent off to some company online that does Nicosil liners, specializes in them. Once they're out, I'll take the block to another machine shop, and I'm going to have it magnafluxed and all that stuff. I don't know if you do magnaflux on an aluminum block, but I'm going to have them do whatever they have to do to confirm the block is ready to go, and I'm going to ask them to clean it so it looks nice and new. Same deal with the head. I'm confirmed that the head is good to go, but I'm going to have the head ported actually. I don't know, there's different degrees of porting, but I'm going to take the intake manifold and the head, bring them to a shop, have them matched up, and have them ported. I've heard differing opinions on the benefit of doing so. It's just, from my point of view, it's a part, it's in pieces. Why not do it now? Yeah, so that's my thought there. And the crank, this is out. It's been in the same bag it was when I left it. You know, I'll find out what the ring size is, order those from California, and start assembling this thing. Why not? Doing the rest of the car, why not the engine, right? Yeah, if there's any doubt about anything that I'm doing, I'll give that to someone else. I'll give that to a machine shop to do, but yeah. All right, so let me see if I can flip this over. I'll remove the skirt, which is the lower half of the engine block right there, separates there, so I can get access to those cylinders. And this is actually this is a tool for a Merc Cruiser Alpha 1 Gen 2 drive. It's for seating a clamp into the bell housing, and it actually may suffice to get reused here because it should be very, very close to being the proper. In fact, if I could force it in there probably. So if I just shave this down a hair on that lower ring right there, if I just remove a fraction of a millimeter, half a millimeter, that'd even be too much, it'll sit properly in there. So once I get the skirt off, I'll see what access I have to the bottom of these sleeve liners. And if I have enough room to work with something like this, if these don't come out via the wood block method, then I might just shave this down a hair so it fits nice in there, and then what? I don't know, pass a long studded bolt through here, and I should be able to use this as my makeshift cylinder liner puller. I got my manual, so I will be actively using that as I break this thing down. Alrighty, let's begin. When I gave this block to the machine shop, I had these cylinder sleeve brackets holding the sleeves in. And when I picked it up, these were off, and this has since been upside down, so they aren't falling out on their own, that's for sure. Come on. This won't work. All right, this sleeve, which I think is on the back of the engine, nowhere near as tall as the other ones. The first dilemma that I see is that, well, first and foremost, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but this one, this liner, is almost flush here, where this one is, I guess you say proud, it's sticking out a bit, that's sticking out a bit. And this one is sticking out the less, but more so than this last cylinder, so that's very interesting. How on earth am I going to use a piece of wood with that thin of a lip to catch the edge but not hit here? I don't know how I can make a piece that is going to be just cover up to here but not make contact with this. How do I get a piece that's going to fit just precisely this sleeve? I thought I would just make one. I thought the sleeves on the bottom were as thick as the sleeves on the top, which are plenty thick enough to get a bite on, but it's the opposite. They're thin on the bottom. Obviously, they must be chamfered or thin-walled here, so they sit properly in here, and then the tops are thicker. Not sure what to do. Not sure at all. Wow. That just moved a lot. Well, not much concern there. Alright, let me get my act together as far as numbering. So this is the starter motor slot, which means this is the flywheel, so this is the back of the engine, so this is the front of the engine, so that is cylinder number 2 that I'm pulling out, sleeve number 2. That's interesting. I don't know what that is. I don't know if you could see that. Oh, there's numbers on there that read 95, 9533. All right, numbers. So this is, so I don't forget. So number 2 cylinder, and the numbers that in the slot. There's no numbers on this side. Oh, somebody already put a 2 in there. Fantastic. All right. I don't know if it came from the factory that way or what. Must have. Well, must have. All right. So the numbers on the number 2 cylinder face towards the front of the engine, which is left. Those numbers face that direction on the number 2 cylinder. Super. There we go. All right, so number 1 cylinder. Bingo. Last thing I want to do is damage them getting them out. this one. Really? Oh, come on. This is breaking already. Jesus. And this time the blue is facing towards the back. The blue faces towards the, I'm sorry, the blue faces towards the front of the engine for cylinder number 1. And the side where it's marked as 1 faces the rear of the engine. All right, number 3 coming up. My block of wood will hold up. So if you're going to do these, when you look at the underside, they're not situated. You would think that the bottom would be perfectly even. They're not. Up here, this cylinder sleeve, I don't know what you can see, but this cylinder sleeve actually is raised. I'm putting a block on it and just hitting it, and that moves the whole thing forward. This one's more flush. So on all these cylinders, the bottom of the sleeve actually sits below the opening. So that's what you can tap with your wood. Once it starts moving, then you could put it on the inside wall where the between the cylinder liner and the block itself, and just gently tap it out and it comes out. Yeah, that moved. Yeah, this one has no problem moving. All right, the number 3 cylinder sleeve is out. Then it goes in like this, which means the blue paint is forward, and the number 3 for the cylinder sleeve is towards the rear of the engine. There is no lip on these whatsoever. It is smooth. I'm real hopeful that these are going to be 100% reusable as is. That would be fantastic. Again, it's raised up here, so that's what I'm going to strike first, just to get it to move. It did not. Let's try again. Did that time. Okay. And so here it's a little below grade, so I'm just going to use the lip. Wow, this one feels tight. I don't want to damage it. There it goes. Didn't want to do that. All right. As many of you Lotus people know, this is aluminum. It's pretty light when you talk about picking up an engine block. All right. Let's see. All right, same deal. The numbering, the blue numbering on this faces forward, and the number 4, engraved number 4, faces to the back. So I would have to watch the video from the machine shop again when they were pressure testing it to figure out what sleeves were leaking. But based on appearance, I would say this one, because it has this black colored smearing all the way up the side from top to bottom. This one has it about halfway through. This one again has it all the way up, and this one very little at all. So my guess would be that it's cylinder number, that's 1. So 2 and 4 were leaking. Cylinders 1 and 3 are not, although that one looks like it was on its way to leaking. But yeah, there's no reason I can't bring this to a machine shop, and I might actually do that now. Have them start looking at it. Sweet. I'll bring the crank, the head, and this. Maybe I'll hold off on the head because I want to bring the head with the intake manifold to get it ported. So one thing I will ask the machine shop to tell me is any of the studs or bolts. I would assume they would get replaced if I have it apart. Engine has 31,000 miles. My assumption would be that these would technically be okay to reuse, but when the engine's apart, I'm assuming you would replace them. I'm going to ask the machine shop because the last thing I want them doing is trying to replace these and stripping them out or destroying something in the block. That would be a disaster. So I'm going to go on their advice, what to change out. Plus I'll look in the manual too. The manual might have strict instructions on what to do when rebuilding the engine. So yeah. These cylinder sleeves are going to get sent out to a company online, I think, that specializes in these. My hope is that they're good to go. There's no pitting, there's no scratching. They're fine, I think, visibly. And you can still see the cross hatching, which is pretty wild. This Nicosil stuff must be very hard. These look like they're in good shape. So I'll bring these by and find out what's going on. Okay, on to costs. I came in at $53,5209, and the only work I had done on the engine was the liner inspection, and the machine shop charged me $250, bringing my total engine cost up to $686.20. Total overall cost of $560209. Thank you for following along.